All right. There's a good chance that the light that I'm using is going to go out. If it does, I'll just turn these on. But as of right now, it's no concern. Um, I already know what I want to talk about in this video. And as per usual, I'm probably just going to ramble. But I just know for a fact that we're going in some direction with these videos. So just bear with me. But we're going to get there, okay? So it's currently 1:01 a.m. It's pretty fucking late. Okay, it's pretty late. But we just made it back from a date. And it was nice. Like, it was casual. And I want to talk about this because I think it's important for people to know, especially younger people to know. Heartache is something that can really suck. For anyone who's dealing with it, if you ever experienced heartache from maybe a breakup, or you were really interested in someone and they turned out to not really be interested in you, and then things just don't work out, and then you're dealing with the aftermath of dealing with a heartbreak. It just can be really overwhelming and a lot to experience and a lot to feel. You'll have nights where you're crying. You'll have nights where literally it's the only thing that you can think of. You try to find a way to like numb the pain. You try to find ways to like not have it be the thing you think about, but it just can't be helped but be what you think about. And in my situations, I found myself talking to my friend about it. I would journal about it. I would cry about it. And I've experienced that a few times. And I could just kind of like be like, I could just tell like this is not a fun thing to experience. By no means is this something that I really want to experience over and over again. I just kind of don't even want to deal with this because it hurts. It sucks. There's no other way to really put it. It truly fucking sucks, okay? And if you've experienced a heartbreak, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, then, good for you, like nothing wrong with that either. But, because I came back from this date and I think I can consider myself someone who's sort of like well versed in going on dates and getting to know people and this and that. I personally myself now am experienced enough to to read certain cues or to understand myself far better than I was able to do previously. Sometimes I wouldn't even read. I didn't even know that there was cues to read. I didn't really know what was going on. I just kind of was going with the flow of things, and not really thinking too much about it or even reflecting. Like, I would just be like, oh, okay, like, there's a lot to unpack when I talk about this, because genuinely, I'm not kidding. Like, I feel like I'm a veteran in terms of like these experiences and just going on dates and whatnot and getting to know people and just like, I think it in some cases it can be true where you can tell kind of like from the get-go whether someone that you're talking to is someone that you're really going to get along with well, and maybe not even just get along really well, but also just kind of like, oh, could this become something more, like more than just like a casual date? Could this become like a relationship? Could this become could this be something long term? Can this be something that can really hold over time? And that is really something that is important in the foundation of a relationship. You're supposed to be able to feel that this is something that is always going to feel fresh, or always not even just feel fresh, but it's supposed to be something that you feel so attached to. Not even attached to in the sense of like, you want to be attached to it, or you're letting yourself become attached to something that's not gonna last. So the important thing is to really know that what you're feeling, and what they're feeling too, because obviously a relationship is not just a one-sided thing. I'm going to scratch my nose. It's not just a one-sided thing. It's supposed to be both sides really going towards the same direction, in the sense of like, okay, are we both feeling as strong for this? Can this be something that lasts? Does this have like a solid foundation? Because if it doesn't, if one side doesn't have that, or if both sides don't share that, it's just going to collapse. And when it collapses, the aftermath of that collapse is really, really like, it can really suck for both people, for one person. Um, I've been on the side where kind of like both people kind of had a very sucky aftermath, but I've been the one that has felt the pain. Sometimes the other party was feeling the pain. And it's just not a pretty experience, you know? And I think all these experiences that I've had so far have really built me towards the sense of like, okay, I can understand far better now than I was ever being like, I'm able to understand this far better than I was ever before. You know, at the beginning, I didn't know there was anything to understand. Over time, I was understanding, whoa, there's a lot here. Like, it isn't just as simple as having a friend. Like, this means way more, you know? Like, there's a lot of things involved in this emotionally, spiritually, physically. Like, on all levels, there's a lot that goes on that we don't recognize instantly in the beginning of this process. And honestly, what I'm talking about now cannot just, it applies probably to a lot of different topics, a lot of different subjects, but in particular, what I'm focusing on now is love between another person, between somebody that you potentially see yourself developing with, developing alongside with, and then, you know, both of you can label yourselves or label what you have together as like maybe a relationship, and later down the road it can maybe be a marriage, or, you know, you have kids with this person or whatever, you know. So let me tell you about the experience that I went on today, the date that I went on today, right? For me, today it was nice. There was nothing wrong with it. She was a lovely girl, you know. We honestly had a good time together, like just genuinely kind of just vibing, like, you know. So like just kind of like on paper you would think, oh, like, oh, that sounds like really good, like, you know, like, but you have to unpack it for like far more than that. It's not just like, oh, it was a nice time. Okay, well, define a nice time. So we went out to go get pizza. Initially, we were supposed to get sushi, but we ended up just getting pizza instead because the sushi spot was closing. And then we went out to, like, you know, this like area in between where there's like a river. And, you know, we were walking by the river and just, you know, talking, chatting, some laughs here and there. Like, it was a chill time. It was a chill time. But the entire time I could tell, oh, you know what? Like, this feels like the copy and paste of different experiences that I've had before, where nothing was being really brought out of me that felt new, that felt refreshing, that felt like, whoa, like, I never seen myself in this light before. And when I have seen myself in this light before, it's like with someone that I feel really, really pulled to, right? And like, there's a lot of surface level stuff out there for people to get pulled to. Sometimes people are really pulled into like looks, and it's a very, very low frequency thing to get pulled to. Like, when you're, of course, everyone has their preferences in terms of like, you know, like how they want their partner to look like, you know, everything like that. Everyone finds something attractive, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a part of our nature, you know. But I think when that becomes the sole thing that pulls someone towards you, like, oh, she's got such a nice body, he has abs, this and that, it's like, obviously there's more to that, you know, like, it doesn't need to be expressed. Like, I'm not saying anything new or anything crazy. It's just, there's obviously something more to that, right? But in the situations that I've been in, where it's like, there's like, in my situations, I could tell when something is like potentially long lasting, when I genuinely feel like a sense of excitement, like a sense of like, whoa, this is really like, I'm revealing parts of myself that really only come out like when I'm really excited or something like that, or like I'm really like, oh, and it's not like I had my guard up, you know, like, you know what it's like to have your guard up with like a stranger or something like that. When you have your guard up, you're kind of like a little like pulled back. You're kind of like not scared or whatever. You're just kind of like a little like on the defense, you know. You're just kind of like your guard's up or whatever. And throughout today, it didn't feel like my guard was up. But it's because like I already knew like, oh, me and her, we're cool with each other, you know, like we're cool. But maybe this would be something that would be like, we don't have to develop it any further. We could just be friends. You know. And in the past, there'd be times where when I would feel that, but I didn't understand how to like sort of verbalize that or bring it into words. It kind of led on to the point where like dates had continued, and then things would develop for that person, whereas things for me were kind of just a little still like not with my guard up, but like I wasn't putting myself into it. Like my soul, my spirit, my blood, my heart wasn't really driving towards the direction of like, yes, this is it. Like, this is something like so refreshing, so brand new. that I just need to like commit to this, like, and over time you'll be able to tell that. But initially for me in the beginning and through the middle, and not to say that I'm towards the end right now, but if we are gonna like kind of like paint the image or paint the idea, I feel like I am on the latter end of truly understanding what it's like to feel true love with another person. Maybe I'm far from it. I could possibly be, but I feel like I have a better understanding now of like when I go out on a date with someone, it's like, okay, like maybe this is the kind of scenario that, maybe like if she's cool with it, we can just be friends. If she doesn't want to be friends, and like that's cool. Like there's no need to like there's no disrespect involved. It's simply just okay, like you wanted more or I wanted more, and one of us doesn't want more. Like that's cool. That's cool. Like just chill. Let's chill before this bleeds into like a heartbreak or something like that. And that's the last thing that I would want for myself, for them. Like especially when it's like for them. Like I don't want to give anyone a heartbreak. That was never my intentions in the past experiences where they were heartbroken. It's a very tough situation. There's this car, like he really slowed down. I don't know why he slowed down like that, but it's really tough when you find yourself in a spot. When I've found myself in a spot where I've broken someone's heart, or their heart was broken as a result of us not working out, it's like it's a very shitty feeling, and it's a shitty feeling when you've had your heart broken. It's just like, holy shit, this person is feeling heartbroken. I know how sucky and how bad it feels when my heart has been broken, and now they're feeling that as a result of us not working, of me and them not working out. It's just kind of like very tough and complicated. Like I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy, and I'm like, I found myself putting that out there where I just didn't have it. I wasn't experienced enough to understand, like, okay, like this can be real bad if it goes down this path where we're not communicating and being clear about how we feel. Like, is this better off as a friendship? Is this better off, like, are we both really into each other that this can really form a good, like, foundational base for a relationship? Those things really do matter. Like, that kind of conversation is pivotal, like extremely pivotal for just overall sort of like the best outcome. And between me and this person, it's not like I expect that conversation to happen. My sort of prediction for what can happen between me and the girl that I went on a date with today is probably, okay, like if she was feeling me, which if I wasn't really feeling her, I doubt that she was feeling that for me. But in the off chance that is happening, right? And she wants to have that conversation where like, oh, we've gone on a few dates. Like, what do you want to, like, what do you expect? Like what, like, like, are you gonna ask me out? Anything like that? I would hope that before it gets to that point, that we would have a conversation like, oh, maybe we're better off as friends, or maybe that's a time that we would have the conversation where we're better off as friends or whatever, right? What I like, it was nice. What I experienced today was nice. It wasn't like I was having a terrible time. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I want to go home, But it was just like, oh yeah, like this is nice. But like I could just tell that based off the way that like my gut feeling, I could just tell like, and maybe a second date or the third date. This is what I would always kind of like find trouble with in the past, where it's like, oh, maybe the first date wasn't it, but like maybe the second or third date or the fourth date, I'll feel the spark, And you have to be very cautious with that game. You have to be very cautious with that game, because it's just like, okay, like you didn't feel nothing special out of this world the first date. Maybe it could happen on the second date, but you have to handle it in a way that's like professional. Like seriously, you do, because when you're doing this, when I was doing this, like sort of like carelessly, it was like this could have been just, if there was a higher level of communication between us two, this could have been so much better, where that person didn't have to deal with the heartbreak now that we've gone on multiple dates, especially in some experiences that I've had with other people. Some people I kind of dated for several months until bam, then it just was like, okay, the base wasn't strong enough in order for it to really hold, so it collapsed. And in some cases, I was on the other end of that, where my heart was broken, and in some cases, I wasn't on the end of that, and she was on the end of that, where it was like now her heart's broken, So it's really important to understand over time, if you're looking for a relationship, if you're in a relationship, if you're not even in a relationship, but eventually you see yourself getting in one. These things are important. They're important because You don't want to deal with the heartbreak because if you don't know, and if you do know, then you know that the heartbreak is tough. It's tough. Like, it's gonna really knock you down. Like, you're gonna shed some tears. You're gonna cry. Same thing. You're gonna really feel that pain in your chest, that lump in your throat. It's like, it's tough. You're gonna have certain thoughts. And then if you know yourself how that feels, you can just imagine how that feels for the other person too. It's just like, no one wants to be on the receiving end of a heartbreak. It's really, really, it's really terrible sometimes. Quite frankly, it's really terrible sometimes. So going forward, really, not to say that like my plan, but in a way, yeah, my plan. It's more like, not even just with this particular person that I saw today, but just overall. It's not like I'm out here just like farming like dates or whatever. It's just like an accumulation of dates through the years. I can just tell, okay, let's relax, let's breathe. Was it a good time? Maybe not. Was it a good enough time that you could feel the foundation just being so strong that this could be something like long term, like potentially over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, like you can really feel that out over time through experience, and unfortunately the experience there sometimes may be where you have to get your heart broken, or the other end of that will have their heart broken. It's a very tough thing to experience, but in my case, without these experiences I would have never known this, and if I didn't reflect on this stuff I would have never learned this. If I would have just blindlessly just gone on these dates, it would just be like a heartbreak cycle over and over again for either me or for that person. And to refrain myself from learning from these experiences, it's just not fair to them, and it's not fair to me to just like blindlessly just go and go and go and go. It's like, no, stop for a while and reflect, and then, okay, like, if a relationship is still something you want and that you still have hope for in your heart for love with another person, just go through the dates, but just like don't like rerun the dates over and over and over and over again, and then not think about it, and then the foundation is not strong enough, and then it collapses. Now that I know this stuff, I'm definitely going forward with a clear sort of mindset of how to deal with these things, so that no one's time is wasted. No one has to experience a terrible heartache of like a heartbreak and anything like that. Because again, it's a tough experience. So I think this video will be sort of like brief. I just kind of wanted to come out here into the parking lot. It's still I'm reaching 18 minutes. But yeah, I think I got it pretty much out of my system now to like just record this video and say what I wanted to say. But this stuff is important. It is. If you're gonna be going on these dates, go with them understanding that go through the dates understanding that the consequences and the results, they'll vary. They'll vary. But just as anything, some stuff can really lead towards a very dark and tough and weighing area, if that makes any sense. So yeah, now go enjoy your life, and I really do mean that. That's it.